Hey everyone, Packy here with another weather forecast discussion recorded around 1 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, March 20th. And today we're going to be discussing some severe weather taking place down south in Texas and parts of Louisiana on Thursday, and potentially some winter weather here in parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the North Dakota region. So currently across the U.S., this is looking at the National Weather Service current hazards map, and we really don't have a whole lot going on. A couple winter weather advisories here and there, and in parts of upstate New York. The biggest issue here is some red flag warnings for some elevated fire conditions and some dry air that's going to be in the Virginia region, and probably a lot of wind associated with this too, down the slope of the Appalachians here. But really not a whole lot of weather going on. It's going to be pretty quiet and nice across much of the country. We will have maybe some rain traversing the southern parts of the U.S., and we'll get into that here in a moment. So starting with that rain down in the southeast, we could see some thunderstorms beginning here on Thursday into Friday in parts of Texas and Louisiana, as I had said. And this is just going to involve some garden variety thunderstorms that might pack a little bit of stronger winds here or there, a little bit of marginal severe weather, nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary for this particular region. This will kind of continue to traverse eastward over the next couple of days past tomorrow. So we can see that pretty clearly here on the European model. This is the European model initialized today at 18 Zulu. And this is showing the precip at the surface, precipitation, and low pressure. And wherever you see these greens, that's indicating some heavier rains, and especially in the yellows and oranges. You can see we do get a little bit of a snow system to crawl through this region, dump maybe really just a handful of inches here in parts of Minnesota, and really the same places that are going to get dumped harder later, and we'll get into that. In the meantime, we are going to see that severe weather, perhaps a mesoscale convective system pop in this region, and that might deliver some lightning and certainly some wind out of this as it moves off to the east, this along with this low pressure. And in the meanwhile, we're going to remain very cold up in the northeast and north central states. This is the GFS model, the American model, initialized at 0Z tonight, and you can follow the time here on the left, the top left here. And essentially, this is showing your 500 millibar height pattern and winds. So this is showing those two jet streams up here in the northern part of the U.S. as well as the southern part. And watch how, as we go in time, we see these two distinct little streams here, and they kind of merge right in here with this storm system, and we get a much more deeper trough to move into the west. And that is going to create, that is going to allow really some southerly flow in this region, pull up some Gulf moisture, increase the severe threat across the entire east, and maybe bring some warmer weather to the east, and keeping it cool out west, as this is going to really prolong a more active period of weather going into late March and early April. Now I want to do a quick focus on the storm system that's going to deliver some pretty impactful snow into the region here, parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, in North Dakota and South Dakota here. Notice how, as I push this forward, as this GIF is going along, we got this little corridor of very heavy snow, and this is going to stick around the same really location for kind of a while. That trough is going to really slowly move through the west, and that is going to allow this low to meander slowly throughout this region, and that's going to really dump snow over this region for really an extended period of time, which could get snowfall amounts greater than a foot easily in this particular region. Notice how right along that rain-snow line, right in this region, we get some interesting mixed signals showing up. Maybe some inter-wintry mix precipitation, perhaps some freezing rain, sleet, probably more than likely freezing rain in this region. And I'll get into why that could occur here, and is something really to watch closely, as once again this is going to be moving slow, so there's going to be a lot of precipitation that falls, and if it falls in the form of freezing rain, that could spell trouble for the roads and power in this particular region. So why are we showing freezing rain here in parts of Iowa and Minnesota and into Nebraska? Well, we have this 850 millibar temperature map. This is going to be about 5,000 feet off the ground. And this is showing where your low pressure is at this particular level. And north of a low pressure, or really extending out to the east, you usually see a warm front, which is what this is, and then the cold front down in this region. And along that warm front, you generally get warm air that kind of is advected and moves to the north beneath that warm front, and then over that warm front is how you get rising motion there. But what that also does is that puts some warmer air above some colder air that tries to rush underneath, because cold air is more dense, so it will sink to the ground. So in this case, when you get that, you can get this warmer air, just relatively warmer, just above the freezing mark, in this particular region right in here, at least on this model run. This could shift north and south, so conveying some uncertainty. This is probably not going to be the final outcome, but this is just one model run, one potential solution. Here you can see right in that region, the 850 millibar temperature is going to be just above freezing here. Right above that blue line is going to be the freezing mark. And if I compare that for the exact same time at the surface, you could see that that 850 line was pretty much in here. And if I compare that, we've got some surface temperatures that are below freezing just to the south of that, as to where that freezing line is going to be and where that freezing rain setup is going to be most likely to occur. Because right now, the best guess that we have is somewhere within this large yellow polygon here, we could see some highest potential for freezing rain. And this is a great graphic from the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center, showing how that winter storm is becoming pretty likely. We've got, these are the probabilities for 8 inches or more of snow anywhere in the these pinkish colors and purples are going to be a greater than 50% chance for 8 inches or more of snow. And likely here in the center, we're going to see places exceeding a foot. Widespread heavy snow and ice again on that southern edge, and where that's going to set up is key to figuring out where the most likely places for power outages might be and how to take the necessary preparations in those regions. So the final thing I want to cover here is some of the cold air that's going to be sticking around in the northeastern U.S. and the north central U.S. Compared to average. We do have a tropospheric polar vortex, which is closer to the ground, and a stratospheric one. And a lot of times the stratospheric one, though not always, can influence what happens down in the troposphere. So we have this polar vortex right now that is sitting kind of right in here and is moving, going to meander slowly over the next 7 days into northern Canada. And by the time it gets to northern Canada, its effects will not be felt much in the U.S. So you'll see we're going to kind of moderate these temperatures and get a little more seasonal throughout the whole country. But for now, this polar vortex is pretty close that its effects on the troposphere, down much lower than 10 millibars here, is going to be pretty substantial in the form of intense cold air in much of the northeast and central U.S. And that is shown very well here on the European model. This is the 850 millibar temperature anomaly, 5,000 feet off the ground. It's a good idea of where your cold air masses are while eliminating the effects of nighttime and daytime cycles and different small scale, mesoscale temperature differences through elevation change and whatnot. So this is a good idea to look at your weather patterns. And you can see that this really cold air just kind of sticks around, hangs around, even rotates over. This is going to be the tropospheric polar vortex here, as that kind of meanders and then eventually heads back up into Canada. So by the time we get this snowstorm here, there's going to be some leftover cold air coming down from Canada that can get pulled around this particular low. But eventually that will be exiting the region, and not only are we going to see nice weather across the U.S., but it's really just going to be pretty mild and seasonable in this region, all across the U.S. But I do caution that pretty soon after this, I do think that the pattern is going to get very active as we have those jet streams merging. So I will have more videos on that in the future. in the near future. So thank you so much for watching, and I do hope you did enjoy. If you did, please be sure to leave a like. And thank you also for 1,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. We will be doing some chasing very soon as we get that active pattern coming in, and we want to be there for everyone who might see some impacts from these storms. And if we can be the first responders, that would be incredible, and that's what we're here to do. But thank you again for watching. I hope you did enjoy or learn something. If you did, you may like some of these other videos here on the screen. So thank you so much, and goodbye.